I've been a farmer for most of my life. The land I own isn't just property, it's part of who I am. It's where my family and I have lived for generations, where we've worked, sweat, and built a legacy. My farm is my sanctuary, a peaceful retreat from the chaos of the world. But what happened one summer morning made me realize just how easily that peace could be shattered. It all started with a knock on my door. I'd been in the barn early, feeding the livestock, when I heard the sound of tires crunching the gravel driveway. Walking over to the door, I opened it to find my neighbor, Karen, standing on the other side with a wide grin plastered on her face. "Hey, I'm just letting you know that I'm putting up a garage," she said casually, as if she were informing me of something I would easily approve of. I was stunned. Karen had never mentioned anything about building on her property. "A garage?" I asked, still processing what she was saying. "Where?" "Right over there," she said, pointing to a large section of land at the far end of my property. To my horror, I saw that she was pointing to an area that was, technically, part of my farm. I blinked in disbelief. "You're building a garage on my land?" I asked, my voice rising without realizing it. The fact that she had the audacity to say this to me, without even a thought to ask for permission, left me speechless. "Yeah, well, it's just a small one," Karen replied nonchalantly. "I've already hired someone to do it, and I figured it'd be easier if I just got it done. Should be finished in a few days." My mind raced. This couldn't be happening. How could someone just take a piece of your land and build on it without any regard for ownership or even basic decency? But Karen didn't care. It was clear to me that she thought she could do whatever she wanted without facing any consequences. "You don't have permission to build anything on my land," I finally said, my voice steady but full of anger. "Take that down immediately." Karen shrugged, completely unfazed. "Don't be so dramatic," she said, her tone dismissive. "It's just a small garage, and it'll only take a few days to build. No harm done." I could feel the blood rushing to my face. I had no idea who this woman thought she was, but I was done playing nice. I wasn't about to let her trample all over my property without consequences. I walked over to my phone, dialed the number of my attorney, and then stepped outside to confront Karen one more time. By the time I hung up, I had a plan. The first thing I would do was call the county sheriff's office to have an officer come out and assess the situation. But more importantly, there was something that Karen didn't know about me, something that would put an end to her antics in a hurry. I was the police chief. When I returned to the driveway, Karen was standing next to the half-built structure, chatting with the construction workers she had hired. I marched up to her, standing tall, and took a deep breath. "I don't think you understand the severity of what you've done," I said, my voice low and controlled. "This is trespassing and illegal construction. I've already called the sheriff's office to deal with this." Karen raised an eyebrow, clearly not impressed. "Oh, please," she said with a sarcastic laugh. "You're overreacting. It's just a garage." "I don't care if it's a garage, a shed, or a mansion," I replied. "You've built on my land without my permission. That's illegal. And just so you know, I'm the police chief. I've dealt with people like you before." The color drained from her face. It was as if the words finally sunk in, and she realized the enormity of the mistake she had just made. "You're the police chief?" she stammered, her confidence cracking. "Well, I didn't know." I crossed my arms, my expression unwavering. "You should have known. You don't just get to take whatever you want from someone else's property because you think you can get away with it. You're going to have to tear this garage down, or I'll have the law enforce it." Karen seemed to shrink under my gaze, but still, she tried to salvage her pride. "I'll have to talk to my contractor," she muttered, but there was no denying the panic in her voice. Before she could get another word out, I heard the sound of a sheriff's car pulling up in front of my house. The officer got out, and I waved him over. "This is the person I was telling you about," I said, pointing to Karen. "She's building a structure on my land without permission. I need her to tear it down immediately." The officer glanced at me, then at Karen, and his face hardened. "Ma'am, you're going to have to stop construction immediately. You don't have permission to build here. We'll have to issue a citation if you don't comply." Karen stood frozen for a moment, trying to gather her thoughts, but it was clear she had no way out. "But—" "No buts," the officer cut in. "You're trespassing, and this is illegal. You'll have to tear it down." With nothing else to say, Karen lowered her head and reluctantly agreed. She had no choice. The garage would come down, and I would be watching closely to make sure she followed through with the promise. As Karen left, the sheriff's deputy turned to me. Good thing you're the chief, or she might have thought she could get away with it. I smiled, knowing that sometimes the best way to deal with people who try to walk all over you is to show them that you're not someone to be messed with. I'll be watching her, I said, watching as the construction workers packed up their things and left. No one is going to mess with my property again.